Assalamu alaikum, Atif Sheikh with program Inclusive Today. And today we are going to talk about political participation of persons with disabilities in electoral and decision-making processes. And we are very much privileged to have an international expert on democratic processes and electoral systems, Mr. Darren Nance. He's working in Pakistan with UNDP Pakistan as Chief Technical Advisor. Welcome, Darren.
Thank you very much.
कैसे हैं आप खैरियत से हैं?
ठीक-ठाक हो आप सुनाए?
बहुत शुक्रिया. I'm happy that Darren can speak a little bit Urdu now. So how long you have been Darren in Pakistan?
I have been in Pakistan for about a year and a half now. I arrived May of 2017.
Great, but you can speak like good Urdu so far.
I try, tori, yes. A little Urdu, a little Pashto, a little Hinko.
Good. Darren, actually, as topic of today's program, we have discussed about political participation of persons with disabilities in electoral systems. So, what do you think, like, why it is important to include disabled persons in the electoral process or overall democratic and political system?
Sure. Thank you, Atif Saab, and thank you again for having me here. In terms of the inclusivity, I think, of persons with a disability in electoral and political processes, I'd say a few things. One, I would say it is a basic right for the nearly 1 billion people around the world that live with a disability. Them being, let's say, the world's largest marginalized group on that. It's enshrined in the Constitution of Pakistan as a basic equal right. It is part and enshrined in the International Declaration on Human Rights, on the Convention of the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, both of which, as you know, Pakistan is a signatory of. In that, I feel, the United Nations feels that it is important for all communities to feel and be a part and feel represented in their community, in their government, in their processes. And as such, in order for them to be and feel a piece of that, it's important that they understand the law, that they participate in the electoral process, that they are engaged and have access and are included in the political life of the country, to raise awareness, to be included in government and in all factors of civic life. Equally, it also, I think, strengthens the voice of persons with disabilities in that, let's not forget, in any electoral process in a democratic country, everyone's vote is equal. And as such, I have the same weight in my one vote as you may have with your vote in the country.
You're very right that if people with disabilities will cast their vote, they will have their voice in the political system, and they will be part of the decision-making process. Like whatever decisions are made for their affecting their life, their voices can be counted. But what about their participation in the political decision-making? So what do you think, like how they can be part of this political decision?
Well, I think one, in terms of political parties realizing this, this aspect from an advocacy standpoint, from an education standpoint, and from including people with disabilities in their platform, meeting with them to understand what are the issues that impact the lives of people with disabilities that may be different from the general mass and general public. And in that, I think, and encourage and promote the political parties themselves in their manifestos, in their daily lives, in their leadership, in their meetings, that they include persons with disabilities to understand as representatives of the country, to understand the issues so that they are formulating legislation to improve the lives of people that they represent, including people with disabilities.
So, but when we talk about disability, and particularly when we discuss about inclusion in this electoral system, we see lots of challenges in Pakistan. Sometimes the polling stations are not accessible, sometimes they are not part of the political campaigns. So what are the challenges you have seen in Pakistan? And like adding to this question, have you seen these challenges any other part of the world, or they are only existing in Pakistan?
Well, definitely not just in Pakistan, but I'll get to that second part at the end. I would say in terms of the challenges for Pakistan and is first and foremost a stigma in terms of that people with disabilities live with in the eyes of the public. And I think that's associated with a lack of education and awareness in terms of those issues from basic level in terms of education and in terms of an everyday life. I think that the challenges include, looking at it from a political and electoral process standpoint, is the ability of receiving information of the opportunities available, basic information on how to get your national identity card, how that then is facilitated for persons with disabilities in obtaining that identity card, what awareness of what that identity card then provides in terms of ability to vote, et cetera. Facilitation of people with disabilities to be able to exercise their right to vote, noting that Pakistan has made significant progress in trying to take initial steps forward with the postal ballot, positive initiatives that have gone through in the Election Act of 2017, initiatives that the Election Commission of Pakistan have begun to undertake to better understand the issues involving people with disabilities and continue to include people with disabilities in their planning and taking into consideration the concerns of that. Challenges in terms of people with disabilities contesting the election, going back to our previous comment with regard to inclusion in the political process and with political parties. Issues with regard to access to polling stations on election day and other abilities of life. In terms of other challenges different to, or that is this unique to Pakistan, I would say no. I'm from Oklahoma, and we in the United States, we in Oklahoma, I also see and feel the same differences and issues that people with disabilities have here in terms of stigma, awareness, education, accessibility at times as well. While some of them may be at different variables than Pakistan, it's one that is not unique to Pakistan at all.
Okay, I agree with you that attitudes and attitudinal barriers and environmental barriers are always everywhere in the world are same for persons with disabilities. But few positive things you have mentioned that in Pakistan, postal ballot has been announced, yes, and assistance service for the blind people has been given. The Constitution in Pakistan gives the right to vote for everyone, whether disability or not. So one thing, like how UNDP is supporting to address these challenges, because we understand that it's still a far way to make our election system inclusive in future. So how UNDP is contributing and supporting?
Sure. UNDP in Pakistan as well as globally undertakes disability inclusive development initiatives by supporting countries to promote the participation of persons with disabilities in political and public life and in all aspects of society. I'd say we look at inclusion of persons with disabilities and accessibility thereof as a cross-cutting theme that we intertwine to support to every project that we work with in Pakistan or around the world on that. And use, let's say, the UNDP and UN platform as a way to promote and work with countries and partners around the world and in Pakistan to, as a platform for education, a platform for awareness of the issues that persons with disabilities face. We work with Pakistan, the government, on Pakistan achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, specifically Sustainable Development Goal 10 for reduced inequalities. And in short, SDGs are ultimately, let's say, a universal call to action to reduce poverty, to ensure that people enjoy peace and prosperity in all walks of life. And in that, Pakistan has signed on, to the 2030 agenda to obtain and achieve various goals, including that. And as related to persons with disability, we look at the theme and take it seriously of no one left behind. And in that, it's not only women or other marginalized groups, it's also persons with disabilities in terms of that. And in a more micro sense, UNDP and myself, I work with the Election Commission of Pakistan, and in every aspect of our support and partnership with the Election Commission, we work to foster greater inclusion of persons with disabilities, other marginalized groups, women, in all aspects of the electoral process, be that to vote, be that to register, be that to participate in political and electoral life, be that in terms of accessibility to the building, to the polling station, accessibility and awareness of the process of how to register, how to vote, and try to ensure that the Election Commission and promoting the Election Commission's initiatives that it's undertaking
Yes, Darren, we were talking about whether it can make a big difference if you include disabled people's organization. You are directly working with the government of Pakistan, with ACB. So whether it will make a change or any kind of impact if you work directly with disabled people who are the real target group of this whole process?
Well, I think that's essential, to be honest with you. And I think not only the UNDP doing that, I think it should be the government and obviously also the Election Commission. And as you know, I think the Election Commission in response to the new Election Act of 2017, I think has taken important steps to attempt to include persons with disabilities in the electoral process through postal ballot voting, but also in terms of trying to reach out through regular initiatives through a Gender and Disability Electoral Working Group at the provincial level and the national level to reach out to organizations focused on supporting people with disabilities to understand their issue and to promote awareness. Awareness to the public, but also awareness to, in this case, election officials themselves to understand the obstacles that persons with disabilities face. And I think that is so important for them to then make rules and regulations that better allow access and information to the target group that they're looking for.
So actually, what I got from your discussion, it's a holistic approach, and this whole system should be intact to include people with disabilities in the political process. But I know it's not that easy, but any advice, anything to take it forward, like how we can make elections fully inclusive? Any single advice or any action we can take right now?
Sure. Well, I mean, I think in fairness, the election, nothing's going to change overnight. In Pakistan, in Oklahoma, in Argentina, or anywhere on that. But I think the important aspect is the will to understand the issues and with a desire to leave no one behind. And ensure that inclusivity of people with disabilities and other marginalized groups in the process. And then, as you were suggesting and we were talking about, is ensuring that people understand the issues. And I can't pretend to understand all of the issues that people with disabilities live with on a daily basis. And I think in that it is important that the government, election officials, and others reach out to people with disabilities and organizations to understand how they can do something to better include.
It's a twin-track approach. We have to work at the administration level, at the administration management of the elections. At the same time, we have to work with disabled people at the grassroots to sensitize them about their right to vote and how they can cast vote. So whatever government is doing, UNDP is doing with the government, and we have to communicate it to the community so that they can cast vote. Darren, there are lots of things, and this discussion may take a long, and we may have another session with you. But it was wonderful talking to you, and hopefully the viewers have enjoyed this discussion. Thank you very much, Darren, joining us today, and hope to see you in the next program with new topic. Thank you.